Hello there, good afternoon to you, and welcome to the News Drive at 1, reaching you from People's 93.1 FM Voice of the Niger Delta, Oxbow Lake Road, Swaligenagar. Today, Thursday, October 9th, 2025. In the headlines, Presidency rejects World Bank's poverty report. Federal government begs ASUU to shelve proposed strike. Akwa Ibom State Governor signs 695 billion naira 2025 supplementary budget into law. And Bayelsa lawmakers approves 595 billion naira supplementary appropriation bill. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Please stay with us. My name is Chinaza Nwachi, and here are the details. The presidency has disputed the latest economic report by the World Bank, Nigeria's biggest multilateral lender, which estimated that 139 million citizens were living in poverty, describing the figure as unrealistic and detached from the country's economic realities. Mr. Sunday Dare, President Bola Tinubu's special advisor on media and public communication, said in a post on his official X handle on Wednesday that the poverty figures must be properly contextualized within the limits of global poverty measurement models. According to him, while Nigeria values its partnership with the World Bank and appreciates its contributions to policy analysis, the figure quoted must be properly contextualized. The president explained that the 139 million figures was derived from the global poverty line of $2.15 per person per day set in 2017 using purchasing power parity and should not be mistaken for an actual head count of poor Nigerians. It noted that when converted to nominal terms, the $2.15 benchmark equals about 100,000 naira per month at current exchange rate, which is well above Nigeria's new minimum wage of 70,000 naira. The federal government has appealed to the Academic Staff Union of Universities (ASUU) to shelve its planned strike, assuring that it is committed to addressing all outstanding demands raised by the union. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, Honorable Tunji Alausa, the Minister of Education, said the federal government is already looking into the demands of the union and progress is already being made in the ongoing negotiations between both parties. The minister explained that the Honorable Mahmood Ahmed Federal Government Tertiary Institution Expanded Negotiation Committee had been reconstituted and inaugurated to fast-track talks with both academic and non-academic unions in universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. He added that President Bola Tinubu had given clear directives that all efforts must be made to avoid another disruptions in the national tertiary institutions. ASUU has already begun full mobilization of its members in preparation for a possible nationwide warning strike as its 14-day ultimatum is set to expire on Sunday. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) has secured a 24-year jail term for Mr. Garuba Duku, a retired director of finance and administration with the Abuja Metropolitan Management Council under the Federal Capital Territories Administration over a 318 million naira fraud. This is according to a statement made available to newsmen by Mr. Ademola Bakari, Director of Public Enlightenment and Education of the Commission. The statement said the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, had presided over by Justice James Omotosho, found Mr. Duku guilty of a 6-count charge bordering on corruption and money laundering brought against him by the ICPC. According to ICPC investigations between 2012 and 2013, Mr. Duku fraudulently diverted 318,250,000 belonging to AMMC into his personal accounts with Fidelity Bank PLC. He further added that the court heard that the funds were received in several installments and later transferred to Bureau de Change operators for unauthorized purposes. The statement further said that during the trial, Mr. Duku had claimed that the funds were handed over to his superiors, but the court dismissed the claims for lack of evidence. In his ruling, Justice Omotosho held that the prosecution proved its case beyond a reasonable doubt, adding that the evidence presented by the ICPC was credible, consistent, and sufficient to establish the offences charged. Reacting to the judgment, Mr. Bakari described the conviction as a major victory in the Commission's fight against corruption. He added that the Commission would continue to pursue all cases of graft and diligence and professionalism to safeguard public resources. Governor Umar Ino of Akwa Ibom State has signed into law the 695 billion naira supplementary budget passed by the State House of Assembly. The State House of Assembly on Tuesday passed a supplementary appropriation bill of 695 billion naira for the 2025 fiscal year, following the adoption of the report presented by the House Committee on Finance and Appropriation. Presenting the committee's report during plenary, presided over by Right Honorable Udeme Otong, the Speaker, Honorable Itorombong Etim, Chairman of the committee, explained that the supplementary budget would be financed through various revenue sources, including statutory allocation, internally generated revenue, derivation funds, 13% derivations arrears, signature bonuses, exchange gains, and value-added tax VAT, among others. According to the report, the 695 billion naira supplementary budget comprises 125.66 billion naira for recurrent expenditure and 569.33 billion naira for capital expenditure, bringing the revised total budget size for 2025 to 1.65 trillion naira. It was said that the new figure includes 425.66 billion naira for recurrent services and 1.22 trillion naira for capital expenditure. The original 2025 budget of 955 billion naira was passed by the Assembly in December of 2024. You are listening to the News Drive at 1, reaching you from People's 93.1 FM. Let's go on this short break. When we come back, we will give you the rest of our stories. It's good to know that you are still there. The News Drive at 1 on People's 93.1 FM continues. Governor Doye Diri has reiterated his administration's commitment to the peace and development of Bayelsa State. The governor stated this when he received a compendium of reports from the Opunembe Basambri Peace Steering Committee during the 173rd State Executive Council meeting held at Government House, Yenegoa. Speaking at the event, Governor Diri emphasized the importance of lasting peace in the troubled Nembe Basambri community, describing peace as priceless. Governor Diri stated that the committee was established as a demonstration of his administration's priority for peace and development across the state. He warned against any actions that could disrupt the fragile peace in Nembe Basambri, assuring his government would continue to foster unity across political and cultural lines. The governor expressed deep concern over the decades-long conflict in the community, noting that the persistent crisis among brothers must come to an end for the sake of future generations.
As a government, we are looking at the unity of our people. So again, I call on the neighboring Basambri people to give light where there is darkness, give love where there is hatred. I also like to appreciate most of the sons and daughters of Nembe Basambri, who in one way or the other had spurred me and encouraged me to do what we have done that is now bringing light at the end of the tunnel.
Governor Jerry further gave a 1 month ultimatum to ITO Exploration and Production Company Limited operating in Nembe local government area to remit funds due to Basambari community. He stressed that the remittance is crucial to supporting ongoing peace efforts and should be paid to the Peace Steering Committee in accordance with earlier instructions from his administration. The governor also used the medium to caution political stakeholders in Bayelsa, West Senatorial District against premature campaigning, urging appointees in the region to refrain from inflammatory rhetoric and actions that could escalate tensions.
I'm happy with most of your recommendations, and Honorable Commissioner for Education, let the community provide land, build a new school. Now, again, let me publicly call on ITO. It's a major part of the peace process. ITO should remit every kobo that has been stopped, that they were paying as a result of my earlier pronouncement to the steering committee. And this should be done in the next 1 month.
The committee, which was inaugurated in September of 2024, presented its findings and recommendations through retired Admiral Victor Ombo, its chairman, who thanked the governor for entrusting them with the task of maintaining a non-interfering stance throughout their work. Retired Rear Admiral Ombo noted that the committee operated in an atmosphere of civility and mutual respect.
On behalf of the Christian Committee and within the limits of my powers to speak for Basamri, we sincerely thank you for the exposure, the experience, which is invaluable. It has made me go home, live in my community, get to know my cousins and relations. Your Excellency, your disposition, your attitude, your selflessness, and the humanity you exude stands you out.
And that report was filed in by Ebikie Benson. And now to more stories. The Bayelsa State House of Assembly has approved the new chart of account and 2026 to 2028 medium-term expenditure framework (MTEF) and fiscal strategy paper (FSP) following the request by Governor Doyediri. The messages read by Mr. Adogu Kent, Clerk of the House, stated that in compliance with the International Public Sector Accounting Standards (IPSAS) model of the financial reporting that has been adopted, the chart of account would include the newly created ministries, departments, and agencies to do advance the assured agenda of the Prosperity Administration. It further noted that the chart would enhance transparent tracking of revenue and expenditure, ensuring compliance with the state budgetary provisions and fiscal policies. The House also considered the approval of the 2026 to 2028 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework (MTEF) and Fiscal Strategy Paper (FSP), which would pave way for the preparation of the 2026 annual budget for the state. Meanwhile, pursuant to the provisions of the Section 7 and the Subsection 2 of the Education Development Trust Fund Law of 2017, as amended, the governor forwarded 16 names of nominees for the Education Development Trust Fund Board for confirmation by the House. The names include Chief Fidelis Agbiki, Chairman, Professor Ebimowe Etebo, Executive Secretary, Mr. Tawari Adombazi, Professor Fibainmeneme Pole, Mr. John Eduohotu, Mrs. Kebi Janet Amasia, Barrister Rotina Orubo, Honorable Nyananyo Chubo, Sir Matthias Otoha, Mr. Mark Werigbelea, all members. Others are Mrs. Favorite Fabiri, representing the Ministry of Education, Mr. Matthew Oyindobra Oduo, representing the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Otobo Richmond, representing the Nigerian Labour Congress, Mr. Igbudu Pedro Dennis, representing Trade Union Congress, Barrister Gad Umbe, representing oil and servicing companies, and Mrs. Alice Atuwo, honorary member as provided in the law. Nominees are to appear before the House on Thursday, October 9th, 2025 for screening and confirmation. That report was filed in by Dorothy Esaliba. In another development, the Bayelsa State House of Assembly has given an accelerated passage of the proposed supplementary budget of 595 billion naira, 595 billion 234,748,114 naira 22 kobo. The legislation titled Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2025 was sponsored by Honorable Monday Obolo, Leader of the House, and supported by Honorable Edward Iria Brigidi, member representing Nimbe Constituency 2. According to the Leader of the House, the bill presented by the government is in line with the Assured Prosperity Agenda, which is in a race of infrastructural and rural development, education, power, healthcare system, among others. He also noted that out of the 95% of work that was appropriated to the Ministry of Works, 94% have been executed, noting that the bill is going into capital expenditure. Also speaking, Right Honorable Michael Obere, Deputy Speaker of the House, who supported the move of the motion, appreciated the governor for the mobilization of the construction of roads and bridges, particularly the second phase of the Age-Ekeremo Road and the installation of the gas turbine, which would help aid the livelihoods of people, and the 25,000 capacity stadium, amongst others. Similarly, Honorable Tari Puri, member representing Ekiremo Constituency 1, expressed excitement as the money approved is meant for life-changing projects such as the Ministry of Community Development, the educational sector, particularly the Bayelsa State Polytechnic Library, which had been moved to its permanent site, and other senatorial projects. The lawmaker noted that the approval is coming at the right time as to enable the government finish projects on ground. Meanwhile, Right Honorable Abraham Ngobere, the Speaker, welcomed the representatives of various constituencies, expressing gratitude to lawmakers for a good working relationship between them and their wards, identifying various challenges in their constituencies as members of the House resumed legislative work exactly 6 weeks after they embarked on recess. The Speaker urged members to renew their dedication and integrity, inclusiveness, and fairness in their constitutional mandate of lawmaking, oversight, and representation, supporting the process in the collective interest of the state and the nation, and also leading an exemplary leadership lifestyle to their constituents. Meanwhile, the House of also passed the Bayelsa Medical University Teaching Hospital Bill 2025, sponsored by Honorable Monday Obolo, Leader of the House, for its first reading. That report, once again, was filed by Dorothy Esaliba. And just before we go on the news, here is a recap of the main points. The presidency has disputed the latest economic report by the World Bank, Nigeria's biggest multilateral lender, which estimated that 139 million citizens were living in poverty, describing the figure as unrealistic and detached from the country's economic realities. Federal government has begged ASUU to shelve proposed strike. Governor Umar Ino of Akwa Ibom State has signed into law the 695 billion naira supplementary budget passed by the State House of Assembly. And lastly, we brought you news that the Bayelsa State House of Assembly has given an accelerated passage of the proposed supplementary budget of 595 billion 234 million 748,114 naira 22 kobo. And that was the news as produced by Dorothy Esaliba. For comment and more information, you can reach us on our business lines on 0816 976 2359. On Facebook, we are at People's 93.1 FM. This October, Let's Nigeria's Independence reminds us that true freedom lies in responsibility. Rise, build, and be the change our nation needs. Thank you so much for staying tuned. I am Chinaza Nwachi. Good afternoon.